We've got the Mazda CX-90 inline 6.
Have all the issues been sorted?
Whoa. Boy, does it ever have good power.
It hustles. So there are two versions of this. One is the plug-in hybrid. That's not the one we have today. What do we have under the hood of this thing, Andrea?
A 3.3 liter inline 6 turbo with a 48 volt mild hybrid system. It's matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission, 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque with premium fuel. You can use regular fuel in this model, but you'll get a little less horsepower. Torque number stays the same.
So we have that engine, which is the performance version. There is a base 3.3 liter inline 6 turbo with less power, 280 horsepower. That engine can also run on regular fuel, and it comes standard with i-Activ all-wheel drive. All right, we're driving 2025. Let's get into the key standard features.
The base trim comes with a 7-inch driver display, a 10.25-inch center display with Mazda Connect, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, manual heated front seats, cloth upholstery, an 8-speaker audio system, 8-passenger seating, keyless entry, MI Drive, and i-Activ Sense safety features. In the US, there are a few extra standard features like leatherette upholstery, a power driver seat, and a power liftgate, but heated front seats are not standard.
So we have driven the CX-90, the gas, the plug-in hybrid. We've driven the CX-70 gas, plug-in hybrid, basically using the same platform as this, with mixed results. And it all centered around the shiftability of the transmission. So we were very pleased to get this back because there have been software updates. Andrea, what is the news over there? How is it all coming together?
Much improved. The transmission before in both the CX-70 and CX-90 was quite clunky. It wasn't very smooth, and now with these software updates, I would say it's almost there. I think the average consumer isn't going to notice it being a problem. I think just that we're in and out of so many vehicles all the time with different transmissions that we still notice a little bit, but boy, much improved. Even when you use auto start stop, it's very good. I do find when it's cold, it still isn't as smooth as it could be.
I'd give it an 85 out of 100. They're almost there. And the problem with this transmission, it's not a problem, it's just the basic design of it. It doesn't have a torque converter like a regular automatic. It has a clutch pack. And where this stumbles is between first and second gear. They retard the timing of the engine between first and second, and it can be a little lurchy, way better than before.
Yeah.
I'd say 85% there. You know what Mercedes-Benz had? The speed shift transmissions in their AMG models, also with a multi-clutch system and no torque converter. That was seamless, so it can be done.
The reason why Mazda went with this type of transmission is to give the feel of quicker shifts, but they didn't really achieve that off the bat. And I think a lot of people compared this inline 6 to BMW's inline 6, which is really a special vehicle, and you're going to pay for that. That BMW X5 starts at $90,000.
You know the big difference, and I joked about this in another video, BMW with their inline 6-cylinder uses the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. One of the best transmissions, in my opinion, that's ever been created. And I joked with Mazda, why don't you just call them up and get that? But anyway, they're working through it. The rest of the vehicle, though, the driving dynamics, the way it feels on the road, the steering feel, is sort of classic what you get from this brand.
Yeah, heavier steering, firmer suspension, and that's what Mazda wanted. They wanted this vehicle in this class to have a more engaging and dynamic drive, and they did achieve that. That is not easy to do in this class. Most of them have very light steering, and they're tuned for comfort and easy maneuverability.
All right, Andrea, I don't see any changes for 2025 on the outside.
I think that this vehicle looks quite elegant. Mazda did a great job making it quite sophisticated looking, but I still am not crazy about the rear. It's a bit bulgy for me. but overall I think it is a nice classic design that will age well. The CX-90 offers up to 8 inches of ground clearance and comes standard with LED headlamps, LED rear combination lamps, body colored door handles, 19-inch wheels, available 21-inch wheels, and a temporary spare tire. Available features include power folding exterior mirrors, body colored wheel arches, and LED front signature lighting. Well, Zach, it's a new year. People are trying to exercise more, eat better. It's a fresh start.
Yeah, that all goes well until the bills arrive in the mail. You open them up and you realize you probably spent way too much on the holidays and your debt's getting even bigger.
This year starts to feel a lot like last year. You're making payments on that debt, but you never really get ahead. It's frustrating.
But there is a solution for all that debt. The first step is to contact PDS Debt for a personalized debt solution. Anyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required. Bad and fair credit accepted. PDS Debt accepts credit cards, collections, medical bills, and unsecured loans.
Personal debt can be crushing. You never really feel like you're getting ahead. Make this the year that you take control of your debt.
So to get a free debt analysis, go to pdsdebt.com/Motormouth. It only takes a few seconds. That's pdsdebt.com/Motormouth.
Mazda always does such a great job with their interiors. We've got a question coming up in Questions, Coffee and Cars about the fit and finish, so stick around for that. But I really think it's sophisticated and elegant looking.
So when we've reviewed this vehicle in the past, we had complaints about the transmission, almost sorted. And another complaint that we had is that you can't get a bench seat on all trims. And Andrea grilled the product planner from Mazda Canada, cornered him, and he was like, he threw in the towel and he said, what, Andrea, what's happened for 2025?
He said, we're going to offer a bench seat on almost all trims. The only trim that doesn't get it is the top trim. It is a 6-passenger vehicle in both Canada and the US. In the US, make sure you check the specs that might be slightly different.
It's the power of Andrea. Cocktail in hand. Quick question. Why aren't there bench seats on all trims?
I am a little bit like that.
Yeah, and you know what? You can thank Andrea for that. Okay, so that's the update for 2025. We are going to touch on the materials. So let's get into what I really like about this vehicle. There's lots of real physical buttons. You don't have to go into a screen to turn your bum warmer on. There's a button right there. It has still the control wheel to interface with the communication system. So a lot of the stuff that I like is still here.
It's interesting. In some past reviews, we may have said about the dial and that, oh boy, we like the touch screen. But I have to say, as more manufacturers put everything into the touch screen, it's just so refreshing now to have the dial. Now, this screen in our model is actually a touch screen if you use wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, the standard wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is on the base model. In some ways, I would say that should be standard wireless, but the price point on that base model is so good that I'm not going to complain about some of the lack of features on that model.
All right, so you have the ability to open the center armrest on either side. There's more plugs in there for your phone. How's the door card?
Really good, quite wide here. I think that overall this vehicle feels spacious, like it's quite a wide vehicle, and there's other interior color options to choose from. Cloth upholstery is standard in Canada, leatherette in the US, but available Napa leather, which we have on our test model.
Andrea said this feels wide. She also said it's got a big butt, so you read into that what you like. Here are the available features: a heated steering wheel, power front seats, driver's seat memory, ventilated front seats, a wireless charger, a hands-free power liftgate, a moonroof, a panoramic sunroof, heated second row seats, ventilated second row captain's chairs, a 360 camera, dual available 12.3-inch screens, and a 12-speaker Bose sound system. So here's me getting in the second row. As we mentioned, yeah, there's more bench seats available. It slides fore and aft. It reclines as well. It has good legroom, good headroom. How does it stack up?
Comparing the CX-90 to the Honda Pilot, the CX-90 offers 41.7 inches of front row legroom, which is over half an inch more than the Honda. Second row legroom at 39.4 inches falls short to the Pilot by almost 1.5 inches.
All right, here's me getting into the third row. Not the biggest in this class. There are certainly bigger vehicles, but when you're in, it's not bad. Your knees are kind of on an angle. There's still pretty good legroom and headroom, really quite good for kids.
Third row legroom at 30.4 inches is 2 inches smaller than the Honda.
And then you lift the power liftgate on this model, you can see even with the third row up, there is still a useful cargo area. If you lift that up, there's another tray, and underneath that, well, you look at that, a temporary spare tire.
Cargo space behind the third row for the CX-90 is 14.9 cubic feet. Behind the second row, 40 cubic feet, and overall cargo space, 74.2 cubic feet. All areas are smaller than the Pilot.
Somebody thinks this interior doesn't look good. Let's get into that.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Great looking cars. I just can't even consider something with uncomfortable seats. We do find the seats to be firmer compared to other models in this class, but I wouldn't say that they're uncomfortable for me anyway.
Well, it's a bigger vehicle, bigger seats. What it's lacking is length in the seat bottom.
Yeah.
Andrea complains of thigh support. The nice thing is you can tilt the seat pitch up at the front, which is going to make it better. I'm not sure if that's on all trims, but it is available.
I have longer legs, so this may not affect everybody, but I find the short seats to be uncomfortable for me. Other parts of the seat are fine. I would really love Mazda to address the short seats in their vehicles. Thoughts on the quality feel of the interior. Some areas, like the silver plastic of the center console, feel brittle. For the price, did they target the right touch points, or would you expect more?
Feel brittle? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think it's great.
This is better. Like, you look at a Honda Pilot, which is a direct competitor to this.
Absolutely.
Also with a 6-cylinder. Doesn't have an interior like this.
Also, you look at even the Toyota Grand Highlander. If you don't look at the Hybrid Max powertrain, and you'll find that that's a pretty plain looking interior. This definitely feels upscale. And I have to say, if you look at the lower price point of this vehicle, Mazda has come in below what the other ones are starting at. Yes, you may get a few less features, but boy, you can get yourself into an 8-passenger SUV at quite a good price point.
Hey, if you want to get a question in for Questions, Coffee, and Cars, follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's going on behind the scenes as well. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button.
How is parallel parking, general parkability of this vehicle? I've seen them on the street, and it looks longer than a bus.
Well, it's big. It's a 3-row SUV, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but parking a vehicle is on the driver. It's not on the vehicle. Everybody says, oh, blind spots, this and that. No. If you know how to drive with the mirrors, because anybody that works for a living with a van that has no side mirrors, you have to park just using your mirrors. So if you learn to park just using your mirrors, you can park anything.
We have to park
even a semi-truck.
We have to park on the street all the time, so we're always parallel parking. I always use my mirrors, and then also this has the 360 camera, so obviously that is helpful as well. I have no problem parking this in the city at all.
All right, now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
I know this is the CX-90, but I'm very interested in the CX-70 and know these share the same engine. Have the transmission software updates been given to the CX-70 as well?
So what the heck's a CX-70? Well, basically, it's this model minus the third row of seats. Slightly different front and rear bumper look to it, but the running gear and the platform exactly the same. So have they given that the updates?
All the same updates to the CX-70. We hope to get that one back to review again so we can see if the improvements are as good as this CX-90.
All right, so let's get into the vital stats of the CX-90.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. We're using MSRP. The base model starts at just under $46,000 and the top trim is just over $63,000. In the US, the base model starts at just under $38,000 and the top trim just under $56,500.
Here's the fuel economy for the base engine. It's 9.9 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 8.4 on the highway. That's 24 miles per gallon city, 28 on the highway. If you get the high output inline six, the one we're driving, it's 10.3 liters per 100 kilometers city, 8.5 on the highway. 23 miles per gallon city, 28 on the highway. The CX-90 can tow up to 5,000 pounds. Mazda offers a warranty of 3 years with unlimited kilometers in Canada. In the United States, you get 3 years or 36,000 miles. Well, there's a lot in this category, which is mid-size 3-row SUV. Here's 4 to consider.
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is a Kia Telluride with a 3.8-liter V6 engine. 291 horsepower and a starting price of almost $54,000.
The Toyota Grand Highlander with a 2.4-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 265 horsepower and a starting price of almost $54,000.
The Chevrolet Traverse with a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, 328 horsepower and a starting price of $53,500.
The Honda Pilot with a 3.5-liter V6, 285 horsepower and a starting price of $55,000.
So there are 4 3-row SUVs for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like, 2 things we'd like to see improved.
I'm thrilled with all the improvements.
It handles really quite well.
What I'd like to see is Mazda figure out the seats, make them a little bit longer.
You're so close, so close with the transmission. I'd say 85% there. Well done on getting it improved. So there it is. It's the CX-90. What do you guys think of that?
Thanks for watching. And if you like what you see, subscribe. We'll see you next time.